Yeah.
ATP, what it do? It's your boy Clay More Rain back at you guys with another one. Shout out to all my subscribers. Man, I appreciate you guys. Salute to all you guys for supporting the channel. We're coming up slowly, but for surely we're making our moves, you know what I'm saying, gradually through the space. If this is your first time tapping into the content, I'm gonna invite you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit your bell icon as well, so you are getting alerts when all this content is dropping. So Eddie Hearn speaks back to the fan base, right? The fan base, the boxing fan base, and a lot of I want to say critiques. Is that the word? Is that the word to say? Critics. We'll say critics. A lot of critics pushing back at Eddie Hearn for results with Jalil Hackett in his last fight. Obviously, this year, coming to the end of the year, Eddie Hearn's been put a lot of his fighters on the table and hasn't won a lot of the fights, right? Unfortunately, the 5v5 was pretty much swept by Frank Warren, and pretty much just getting criticized. They're basically saying that Eddie Hearn is not taking these fighters' careers into consideration as he's making the matches, as he's matchmaking for these guys. Maybe they're a little too competitive. And Eddie Hearn pushes back and says, listen, man, that's my job. That's my job as a promoter, to put my fighters against competitive fights, and it's up to them to step up to the plate, to go ahead and take these opportunities to show the world that they're great. I mean, these fighters come into boxing looking to be great fighters. They're looking to be in the conversations with the greats, with the people in the Hall of Fame, the people that they admire, the people that inspired them to be in the sport. And he'd be shortchanging them, and more importantly, potentially shortchanging the boxing fans who are paying to see high quality, highly competitive fights. So which one is right? Which one is wrong? Can they both coexist in the same space? I mean, can Eddie Hearn be doing his job, representing, doing competitive matchmaking so that the fans will be attracted to seeing these kind of fights, but at the same time serving the purpose of protecting the fighters' interests and always putting them in the best opportunities and considering their development as he's matchmaking for them? I think they both can coexist in the same space, right? I think Eddie Hearn is doing a great job, to be honest with you. I mean, when we're thinking about three specific fighters right now, if we want to talk about Jalil Hackett, Shakur Stevenson, and if we want to go ahead and put what's my brother's name, not Richard Hitchens, but even with Richardson Hitchens is a perfect example, but Jalil Hackett, right? And Jerron Boots Ennis, of course. There we go. Right. Let's put these fighters' career into perspective as far as what they were coming from and where they are today. So Jalil Hackett, Richard Hitchens, both fighters that came from Floyd Mayweather Promotions. Shakur Stevenson's coming over from Top Rank, obviously, right? And then we've got Jerron Ennis, who was pretty much floating in a deal in between Steven Espinoza as his manager and when he was with Showtime. And some people would like to say, in one way or another, kind of like to a degree or two of separation with the PBC. They all came here with a mission, right? Shakur Stevenson coming over, trying to be a higher paid fighter, as well as an opportunity to get himself in some more competitive fights, and fights that will favor Shakur Stevenson stylistically to a degree to help him become the exciting fighter that he believes he can become. You've got Jalil Hackett and Hitchinson, who came over because of a lack of activity or inactivity that was happening over at Floyd Mayweather Promotions. So they came over to Eddie Hearn. And of course, you got Jerron Boots Ennis, who's coming with the same situation, right? They came over to Eddie Hearn's in need of these items in particular. So Jalil Hackett wanted activity. He's active. He wanted to fight and get some most competitive fights out there. He wanted to be moved fast through his career a little bit more. Feels like he's ready for the big show. So his first fight, Jalil Hackett is in front of Pete Dobson, right? Now, Eddie Hearn expressed publicly that he told Jalil Hackett, listen, I'm not too sure if you want to, this is a tall order. Like, this Pete Dobson guy is not a pushover. You could really get some more fights, and we can develop you a little bit better and put you in fights that aren't as competitive as Pete Dobson, but would still help build your market value and still help you get those fights under your belt at the time, considering it like he was like 8 fights into his career. But he said, no, I'm ready for the big show. Now we're talking about somebody who's ready to challenge Brian Norman Jr. for his welterweight championship, right? But listen, Eddie Hearns said, if you think you're ready, if you like it, I love it. He puts him in position with Pete Dobson. And listen, he cashes out and does the right thing. He challenges himself at a high level, and he beats Pete Dobson. Well, on the next fight, he asks Eddie Hearns to continue to challenge him. And Eddie Hearns says, well, listen, I got a card coming out in Puerto Rico. We got Hitchinson headlining it against Liam Paro. I could put you on that card. Jalil Hackett, of course, being the motivated fighter that he is, says, listen, I'm here for it. Him and his father. So Roman Vasquez, a fighter who's sitting at 13-1. A pretty tall challenge for Jalil Hackett, but at the same exact time, I think it was an 8-1, 12-1 underdog to Jalil Hackett. So a step up in competition, but at the same time, a fight that Jalil Hackett not only is capable of winning, but most people would say should be winning, favored to win. Well, he goes to Puerto Rico to compete, and he takes a loss, a split decision loss, his first loss. Now sitting at 9 wins, 7 knockouts, and 1 loss right now because of this loss against Roman Vasquez, Roman Vasquez. The boxing space goes crazy. Now, let's put this into perspective to understand that Jalil Hackett, in my opinion, I thought won that fight. I think most people thought he won that fight. Some people might want to say he got robbed, or some people might just say he got a decision that just didn't go his way. Either way, it doesn't change the fact that you take big risk, you get big rewards, but with those big rewards come big risk of losing. 50-50, things happen. Jalil took it pretty well. I mean, I'm pretty sure he felt like he won the fight as well. So did his father, but they took it pretty well because they know this is what they signed up for. This is what they asked for. He walked away with 10 rounds of experience against a fighter who wasn't just going to go away and had some things to go ahead and think about. Now, Eddie Hearn communicated that he thought maybe Khalil is fighting at a weight class that's a little too low. Maybe he might consider going up, thought he had a bad wake up, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the activity was there, and Eddie Hearn said very gracefully, like, listen, he's not who he thought he was. He wasn't the better man that night. He should have beat this guy in a more dominant way. He let the judges get a shot at it, and they didn't see it his way. On to the next one. Now, you also have Jerron Boots Ennis, who came over because of a lack of inactivity and an inability to unify his weight class division. The welterweight division, right? He got upgraded to be an IBF champion because Terrence Crawford was stripped of a title that, because of an inability to go ahead and honor a mandatory, was stripped of his IBF belt, and Jerron Boots Ennis was elevated. People are calling him email champion. Now, ever since I've known of Jerron Boots Ennis, I've known of his aspirations of becoming a unified champion at 147 pounds. Well, Eddie Hearns has signed Boots Ennis and said he's going to help him facilitate that. Now, instead of Boots Ennis going up to 154 pounds, as he had just recently gotten the opportunity to go ahead and challenge Virgil Ortiz, a WBC interim junior middleweight champion, or super middleweight, a welterweight champion, however you want to look at it. Instead of doing that, he chooses and opts to go ahead and stay at 147 pounds, Boots Ennis, to go ahead and fulfill his dreams of unifying the division. And of course, Eddie Hearn, representing Boots Ennis' best interest, says, listen, if that's what you want to do, that's what I'm here to do. He gets into negotiations now, presently, with Mario Barrios, Stanionis, Brian Norman Jr., and even now that Teofimo Lopez is putting in an offer as well, as he wishes to fight Jerron Boots Ennis to make a move up from 140 as a WBO champion to come and challenge Jerron Boots Ennis for his 147-pound IBF title. Boots Ennis wants to become a unified champion in his division. And of course, Eddie Hearns is going to represent that because that's what Boots is paying him to do. Is he wrong? Has he done something wrong to go ahead and support Boots Ennis in doing that? I think he might be doing his job, most people might say. Same thing with Shakur Stevenson, who came over for the activity as well as the paydays. Eddie Hearns placed Shakur Stevenson in position to go ahead and fight Floyd Schofield, that he'll be defending the title against, which is an interesting fight within itself. And then Williams Zepeda, and ultimately see if he can put something together with Tank Davis, simultaneously giving Shakur Stevenson some of his biggest paydays. And we can go with Richard Hitchinson, who came over from Floyd Mayweather Promotions with a very similar issue as Jalil Hackett, as he was not able to be active over there. Well, he came over and had him in the last year and a half since he signed him, has had him active, has got him an IBF eliminator fight, and put him in his last fight against Liam Power to actually challenge for the IBF Junior Welterweight Championship of the World. He capitalized, won that fight, and is now a champion. Where a year and a half ago from this weekend, you didn't even know who Hitchinson was because of the lack of activity that he had. So is Eddie Hearns wrong? Is he not doing his job? Is the way he's stylistically making his matchmaking not helping the fighters out? I mean, everybody can take it on how they want to take it for themselves. Me personally, I got to admit, as a boxing fan, quite refreshing to see these competitive fights. And I think these fighters know what they're signing up for, because this is what they signed up for when they became boxers, was to become champions. In order to become champions, you got to be ready to beat champions. It's up to these guys to pull the trigger once they get there. But I think Eddie Hearns is doing quite a job, to be honest with you. And I'm looking forward to see more fights happen. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. Is Eddie Hearns the ultimate snake? Is he not doing the job right? Should he be cherry picking and stylistically matching up these fighters better so that these fighters don't look bad in their fights? Or are we ready to put some ownership on these fighters? On these fighters' responsibility to be professionals at all time and to take advantage of all these opportunities that Eddie Hearns put in front of them. Let me know what you think in the comments. It's your boy Claymore Rain. Shout out to all my subscribers again. Salute to you guys. If this is your first time tapping into content, I'm gonna invite you, like I did in the beginning of the video, to go ahead and hit the bell icon, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you're all getting confirmations and notifications when these videos like this, when this content is being dropped, right? It's your boy Rain. It's ATP Combat Media Show. And at this point, we out.